I bet that you have never performed 10 or 20 minutes of only footwork drills. From my personal experience, footwork in Taekwondo has always been underestimated. People know that it's very important, but is not practiced with the same importance of techniques. However, this introduction is not valid for people who fight at a national or international level, where footwork is a part of a daily schedule. So today I'm here to help you, and we are going to discover the best footwork techniques. For example, if you want to beat a taller fighter and you're a smaller one, footwork help you to get close to your opponent. And it's the same thing for a taller fighter against a smaller fighter. It helps them to stay far from the smaller fighter and to keep their distance from their opponent. We have side steps and a lot of sliced movements. Before continuing the video, let's introduce myself. Nice to meet you, I'm Lorenzo and I love to share my fight analysis passion and Taekwondo guides here on YouTube. I wish to create a positive, supportive and the biggest Taekwondo community. To help me to achieve this goal, click the subscribe button, click the like to watch even some more similar guide like this one. In Taekwondo we have multiple leg movements that we have to learn, and we have to master some of them if you want to achieve at least a decent high level. The most important one are the slides, the front step and the back step. Those are the main common footwork that every fighter know even at a low level. So they are the most used movement in Taekwondo. That's also a reason why people refer about Taekwondo as a fencing, because modern Taekwondoing fight like in fencing. But if you don't have those fencing habits, you are neither gonna win a lower level fight. So those are the basic movements that you have to know if you want to win. And if you want to get an easier win, you have to know the side step, because in this way we get an advantage over most fighters that only know to move in a line, and you are going to move on sideways. The side step or slide on the side angle slide, it's a tactic mainly used against taller fighters or same height opponents, because you are going to dodge their cut kicks and you are going to move on the outer or inner side to close the gap. Or you can even reach a deeper spot not on the opponent's back but on the back side of the opponent, whereas in 99% of the cases they are not going to defend the deepest part on their armor. There are even more footwork, there are even more tactics that you can learn, but they are not necessary under a certain level. It's much better if you acquire all the basic footwork and then you are going to advance on some other movements. Compared to steps and slide, when is a good idea to slide in a fight? The slide compared to step and front back is a rush movement, an aggressive movement, is a very rapid movement. If you advance with a slide without being ready to block the opponent technique, there are high chances that you lose your teeth. So I advise you to use a slide in when you are enough close to your opponent already, and you need to close a certain distance, a small distance, for like score a punch or maybe use the combo, cut kick, punch and high kick. Another good moment to use a slide when we use a feint. So if your opponent fall in your trap, you have the chance to slide in without getting touched, and you get the opportunity to score more points. But the most common combination about the slide are the slide out, slide in. This is used against an opponent that uses like a side kick or maybe roundhouse kick, and you use it to dodge the opponent technique, and then you go aggressive on your opponent to attack in that window. I can say that sliding compared to the step is a more aggressive tactic, and if you want to rush that fast on your opponent should not be ready to strike a technique on you, because you won't have the chance to dodge easily when you advance so fast on your opponent. Overall, if your weight class is one of the higher. On the other hand, back slides are a core movement in Taekwondo. You are going to use backslide in like every single fight, so if you do not know how to backslide properly, this is a big problem, because you have to use the slide out to dodge every opponent technique, or you can use it to keep the distance if you are a taller fighter, and that's why this should be a core movement for every single fighter in Taekwondo. Maybe nowadays you are going to watch the ghost step. That's the combination of slide out, slide in. It's very common in Taekwondo, even in MMA, in every type of sport. Steps compared to slide are a lot slower move. Indeed, the step is used in combination with roundhouse kicks, spinning kicks, or maybe used to advance slowly on your opponent, like I teach you in my previous video. Some people use this cross step, so when you advance with your back leg, but this is not used a lot nowadays in Taekwondo because it's a slow movement and that can easily counter with a side or cut kick. So unless some very few situations, we are not going to cross our legs like that in Taekwondo to advance toward our opponent. For example, we can advance with our back leg only when we are going very aggressive on our opponent. When you already use the side kick, we unbalance our opponent and we are going to advance to maybe score with a spinning kick or maybe score with a high kick. So we are going to charge our kicking leg with the back leg step. And even if it was a great tool on old school Taekwondo, nowadays it can be very dangerous, unless, as I told you, for some particular situation where every kick can be useful. So if you want to advance toward your opponent with a specific leg that you prefer, I advise you to first switch legs and then slowly advance with the step or maybe sliding on your opponent, rather than advancing by crossing your legs. Lastly, we have my favorite movements, the side and angle movement, or whatever you want to call it. The side action are my favorite action in Taekwondo, because very few people moves on the sideline or counter on the sideline. So you get a great and standing advantage over your opponent just because you know when to perform those actions, or why you have to perform those movements. If you want to go deeper on this topic and you want to learn when you use side movements or angle movements or slide movements, join my membership. Even for a lower tier, you are going to get this guide and a lot more in-depth Taekwondo guide that can help you to improve your sparring strategy barely for free.